Amazing. We've got a few more people. So I wanted to start and just say thank you all for taking the time to join us this afternoon for the CAS 360 new features webinar for May. As always, there are a few new faces who I haven't met. So just for your kind of understanding, I'm Connor. I look after everything kind of post sales here with CAS 360. So if you're a new user or new to an accountancy practice, I'm sure you'll see a lot more of me as you begin to use CAS 360 a little bit more. This is also our highest ever attended new features webinar since we started doing them about 9 months ago. So thank you all for being a part of it. And again, thank you for taking the time. I know this may be the first one for some of you who are here today. So I just wanted to start by giving a quick run through of what you can expect throughout today's session and how it's going to work, really. So we tend to each month kind of follow a very similar format, although the content is often quite different. But I tend to start with some general company's house updates, which I'll run you through to begin with. And then we provide a status update on a lot of the ongoing fixes and troubles that people have been having, and give you an idea of the progress of those and when you can expect fixes for them as well. And today's one is actually full of really good news, which is always great. We then run you through a handful of the new releases that have come to the platform over the previous weeks. We tend to include occasionally some top tips, occasionally some updates about what's to come, and sort of things that are ongoing around CAS. Following into that, I will give you an update of kind of what to expect over the coming weeks, and how you can have an impact on what is seen in the platform as well. And then finally, we have a sort of question and answers session at the end. Just so you're aware, I have opened up a Q&A section for you. So throughout today's session, please put all of your questions you have into that, and I will do my best to answer them at the very end. The reason I do them at the end is just in case we cover it later in the webinar, and it may be something that crops up as we go through. But if not, I will do my very best to answer it. And if I can't answer it, I'll give you a phone call after the webinar, and we'll run through it together. So without further ado, let's get into our first slide, which is the company's house update for this month. First things first, there's a couple of dates to add to your diary. For company's house maintenance, they are the 3rd of June and the 17th of June for this month. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced these days already. Typically, what you can expect is some potentially longer filing times and delays to filing just while company's house is being worked on. They do their very best to keep this to kind of late afternoon and evening times. However, as I'm sure you're all aware, company's house don't always stick to schedules as well as they hope to. But what this means for us is that we can still use CAS 360 to its full capabilities, but we just might have some delayed filing time. So it's just to make you aware, if things are around deadline time across those dates, you may want to get them in a day earlier, just to make sure they are successfully filed on time. The second point just here is a reminder of something we went over last month. There is going to be a proposed change coming into INO1 and AD01 forms. Although we don't have a date just yet, I can guarantee it will be after the 1st of August 2026. So nothing to worry about just yet, but just to make you aware, this is IT getting on to me for not restarting my laptop. If you see that, just ignore it for today. So a status update for some of the ongoing fixes. I'll let you have a read of the screen about some of the errors that have been cropping up. The only one I've kind of really shortened down is smart emails. There was quite a bit going on with that. And what we've done with smart emails is improve all of them. We've improved the availability for it across a number of different forms now over the platform as well. But the really good news I wanted to share with you on these is that these have all been fixed. So everything you're seeing on the screen at the moment has been fixed and is now ready and live in the platform for you. So hopefully these errors don't crop up again. Of course, as always, with any errors or issues you may find throughout your time on the platform, please alert us to it as quickly as you can, and we can get a fix implemented and released as quickly as possible. I'll leave this slide up for 20 or 30 seconds just to let you have a quick read and make sure that, hopefully something that you've encountered has been fixed. New releases is probably the reason a lot of you are here today to see what has come into the platform and what is now available for you to use. We've had one, I would call major one this month, and then four maybe smaller supporting ones, just to make workflows a little bit easier for you as you're growing through CAS 360. I wanted to start with the big major one, which is the VSO1 form. We have been chasing this down for months now, so I'm really glad to say that it has come to the platform. It enables and helps you to alert companies house that you've completed PSC identity verifications. We've also added a verification history, allowing you to keep a full audit trail of who has done what and when in terms of ID verifications. We've updated the availability of AML so that it is now available for individuals. I will run you through that and the ins and outs of what's available at the moment. We've made some major improvements to our global documents screen, allowing you to keep track of more and more things with additional filters and options for second reviewers as well. And we've made an update to help you in the idea of clean data. So any contacts that are no longer in use, we are able to bulk remove them from the platform. And you can do this yourselves, and I'll show you how that works as well. First things first is the VSO1 form, the PSC for PSC identity verification. This will enable you to tell Companies House that you have verified a PSC. Our end goal here, using this image, is to have a verified tick next to our PSC. How are we going to do that? I'll show you now. So in this situation, we are starting from the members section of a company. I'm sure a lot of you recognize this page, but the button we're going to need is the one at the top for people with significant control. When we're in here, I'm going to use a scenario that we've already added a PSC. So we're going to use view people with significant control. And as we open it up, what you'll notice across here, we've got Kylie Minogue as our PSC. She was appointed back in September. We now need to verify her as it's coming up for her identity verification deadline, the tongue twister. So we're going to use the verify button, which is a new button we've added in. What you're going to get is a pop-up and a prompt of certain information that may or may not be required in order for this to be successful. So have you provided identity verification details for the person with significant control? If this is something you've already done directly with Companies House, you can turn this on and click save, and that will just update the status to say verified. We don't need a form because it's already been done. If you haven't done it already, we can leave that toggle off. Ensure the personal code has been added in here, and I'm sure a lot of you know this question by now in relation to personal codes, so we'll make sure this is correctly toggled either on or off. We then have the option to save and prepare. What this will do is produce us a person with significant control IDV statement. The reason it produces an identity verification statement is because Companies House haven't released an official VSO1 form as yet, because this is only available digitally. It is a bog standard sort of Companies House template. There's nothing too fancy about it, but it contains all of the information required for this to be a successful file into Companies House. You'll see it's also available to be signed by your client if you wish for that to be done as well. From this point onwards, it remains the same as all other documents within CAS 360. We have the ability to download and put through our own e-signature platform, or we can send all if we have an integrated e-sign solution, or we are choosing to email it to the client from CAS 360. From that point onwards, it will be available in our global document screen, ready for us to lodge, as it's known in CAS, but submit to Companies House. And we will then get our verified tick once it's been completed and successfully lodged. There are a couple of supporting things I would like to show you with this as well, but I'll just give you 10 or 15 seconds to add any questions in to the Q&A section, and I will come to those at the end as well. Some of the things that go really well with this is our second sort of new update is the verification audit trail, or the verification history. As mentioned earlier, this is going to allow you to keep a full history of who has verified the client, when it has been done, when the request was sent, when it was completed. You'll get dates and times for all of it, thus protecting you as a practice and as an individual. Touch wood, it doesn't happen, but should your client ever say, I didn't do that, I didn't get this, something's gone wrong, this is going to be your cover. So again, I'm going to go back into CAS, and this time you're going to join me in the messages section down here on the left-hand side. For those of you who aren't aware, the messages section will show you what is coming in and out of your CAS 360 platform, as well as anything that's pending to go out, such as deadline reminders or scheduled send emails. But the ID verification tab is the one that we're going to need. Once we're in here, you'll see a number of filters down the left-hand side. We can filter on some that are maybe pending or some that have been completed, for example. So I'll use this top one up here, and we're going to go all the way over to the right-hand side, select the options tab, and now we've got an additional option for history. Again, similar to the screenshot we seen just a moment ago, you'll be able to see that this request was sent on the 26th of February at 11 minutes past 1 in the afternoon. And again, the same applies to when it was completed. This is where you're going to go to find that history and effectively manage your risk if anything is to go wrong. As mentioned, there are a couple of little reminders along with these updates just to make you aware of, one of which is our PSC listing report. We have had a number of questions recently regarding the ability to keep on top of and keep track of when PSC ID verification requirements are due. So I wanted to run through this reminder of this report and how it works and show you where to find it as well. Opening up CAS 360, this time we're going to be in the report section, again down towards the bottom left of the toolkit on the left-hand side. Once we're in here, we may see a screen that looks a little bit like this, but all we need to do is scroll down and navigate to other reports. And at the bottom, we'll see a PSC listing report. Opening this up, it's a little bit overwhelming initially, but I'm going to break it down for you and show you what each of the buttons do and what they mean. So what I would always recommend starting with is coming to the filters on the left-hand side. Most of the time, and most of you in here are going to leave this as all agents, you're able to select the date that you pull the report. If you're using labels, you can filter based on, for example, Connor's client, or you could have test client if you're running a test. Whatever labels you've got in the system already will be available for you to select here. And this bit right in the bottom left, PSC listing options, is the really, really key piece for this report and helping you to understand when ID verification requirements are going to be due. The first two toggles enable you to distinguish whether you want to pull a report on people who are PSCs only or on people who are PSCs as well as directors. So the option is there for you to pull both. Obviously, that's going to potentially impact how you choose to do things, but it gives you that option here before you pull the report. This one itself, I find really beneficial, but we'll leave it kind of up to you and how that looks. So if we leave this one off, it will pull it and give you a date. So it could be 01/01/2000. It will give you the birth date for the PSC so that you know in January, that's when their ID verification is going to be due. I personally find it easier to have this toggle on, as it's now going to filter on birth month, and we're going to see all our PSCs who are due in January, all of our PSCs who are due in February, all of our PSCs who are due in March, and it's going to say just January, so that we know which month it's going to be due in, or which month it's going to be due in the first 14 days of that month. And so I personally find that one really easy to use and much easier to understand, but it could be really good for you to kind of have a play around with some of your test companies and see what you prefer when you pull from the software. This bit here is also very overwhelming initially. Everything's going to be ticked as you go in there automatically, but what I would recommend is coming to this top bit here and deselecting everything. What you can then do is flick through and just tick the companies that you want to pull the PSC information for. You may want to do it for one company, you may want to do it for 5. But that being said, if you need everything, you can just go and tick that button at the top. Come all the way to the bottom right-hand corner, and we have the option to export either as a PDF or an Excel file for us to store and track as well. Any questions on this piece, please pop them in the Q&A. And I'm going to move on to one more little reminder about kind of ID and staying on top of it and making sure we've got everything we need. So a few months ago, CAS 360 introduced the ability to store a copy of the ID that has been used by your client when completing their ID verification. When you go to send an ID verification for a client, You will have the options in here, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, to select the type of ID request that is going to them. Underneath, and ever so slightly hidden, is the option to request to store ID and biometrics and a toggle to turn that on. We would recommend always having this on. The reason being, it will allow you to get a copy of the ID, and if anything is to go wrong, or it is to fail, the biometrics aren't right, or the names are different, you're going to be able to see it from within your CAS 360 platform. As your client accepts all the T's and C's, they will be approving this for you. They will have the ability to turn it down if they wish. So that's why we always recommend having it on. You will get a copy of the ID, all the details of the ID as well. And what you will get in your notifications tab is you can see for Michelle Smith, our ID verification results have been received. And we have the option to import the ID onto CAS 360 and store a copy of it for our own record as well. Something we really, really recommend turning on. It can save you a lot of time if anything is to go wrong further down the line as well. Again, I'll just wait 10, 15 seconds as we come to the end of this kind of ID piece to add any questions you may have into the questions section. The next new feature I wanted to show you, some of you may already have been using this and may be aware of this already, but it is now we have the ability to run AML checks for individuals that we add to the platform. So in this scenario, I'm talking about individuals who are maybe not imported from Companies House. They're not associated to a company that's on our list of companies. They're just individuals we're adding to the platform through the contacts section. You may use this for things such as sole traders, for example. But what I want to make really, really clear is that we currently still don't have the KYC for individuals. So this would not be a complete AML suite for those types of individuals, but it is a step in the right direction for enabling you to do that, hopefully in a matter of weeks or months. Again, I just wanted to run you through how this is going to work. And you join me at a point where I have added Joe Bloggs as an individual from the contact section in here. I've entered all of his details ready to go, and we're going to click save. You'll now see it's been added to the top. And what you'll notice now that the update has come to the platform is that we have a difference between Aaron, who was here before, and Joe Bloggs, in the sense that we can now run an AML screening on this individual, even though they're not associated to one of our companies. When opening up the individual, you'll see the buttons are now also available in here for these people that aren't associated to companies. And clicking on them, we're going to follow exactly the same process as connecting to BGL ID and just solely running AML checks on these people rather than combining it with a biometric ID check as well. As mentioned, the next step in this process for us will be adding KYC for individuals, so know your client. I know we have it in here for companies already, so it's just a case of getting it for when we add individuals now. And at that point, we can begin to start helping you add some sole traders onto the system for you to run your full kind of AML suite on those types of people as well. We're slowly going to move away from the ID and AML section now and move into a kind of wider, more workflow type update that we've had to the software. But it comes in your global documents page. We have added the ability not too long ago for you to track all documents that are available for second review, as well as now the ability to filter based on those documents, and are just starting to develop that screen a little bit more. So I feel it's a really good time to show you this area of the product and show you what kind of capabilities it has as well. Obviously, all of you here today are going to work kind of differently in your different firms and your different practices in terms of the way you do things. But I know a lot of you will use our send to second reviewer option when preparing documents through CAS 360. What we have added to the platform is now in our global documents page, using this icon in the bottom left, we have a tab at the top for documents review. You're able to see the company the document has gone to, the type of document in there, who it was prepared by, who the second reviewer was, some key information, and the review status as well. So you'll be able to see if it's pending, you'll be able to see if it's been accepted, and you'll be able to give your colleague a bit of a nudge if you're still waiting for that document to have its second review passed. The reason I wanted to show you this today is we've had some additional filters added to it. So we can now really have a look. I don't have any who are pending, but you can have a real look at what's kind of been passed, what's failed, and what may still be waiting, and really break it down and stay on top of those documents that are going to a colleague before going out to the client. Again, probably our smallest new update for the month, but something that could be really beneficial in terms of your workflows and really helping you achieve that kind of clean data status. It's something a little bit different to what we've looked at already, and something that's going to be really, really easy for you to use. So we should fly through this one probably in about 10 seconds, and it will really help you after the session to go and have a look on your CAS 360 platforms and see what you can kind of tidy up if you like. So you join me this time in the contact screen on the left-hand side, and I've used one of our contact filters that says not in use. It's the one above find matches, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with, but the one that says not in use. Previously, we would have had to go through these contacts and delete them one by one. And as you can see, when you kind of get to this level, it's a little bit time consuming, takes too much of your day when you've got more important things to be doing. But now we've added in this button up here to delete all not in use contacts. So clicking this, it will give you the option to confirm that you would like to delete, and we can actually delete all 202 of these. I will give it a go here, and you'll see it starts to load. That will take a second, and we can delete all of the contacts that are in there for us and tidy up our platform a little bit. A little kind of top tip that I'm not sure everyone's going to be aware of at this kind of moment in time. It was added to the platform a little while ago, but it started to be developed to include a lot more bits of information and become a lot more kind of widely available in the software. And that is the option to filter your columns. So previously it was just available on our company screen, but is now available on the confirmation screen and documents screen as well. I will run you through this in just a second so you can see it in action, but essentially what it does is give you the ability to fully customize your own dashboard. It is user specific. So for example, I could have it looking the way I want it to look and contain the information I want. And my colleague could have it looking completely different because they prefer different bits of information to appear on their dashboard. It's a simple case of using toggles to add and remove different bits of information and dragging and dropping to rearrange the order in which it appears to suit your preference. So I'm going to go back into CAS. I'm going to use the one on the main company screen, although it's also available in the confirmation screen and the documents screen as well. But you'll see across the top, you'll have a button that says filter columns. What columns these are referring to are all of these ones along here. As you open it up, you'll see all the different types of information available. Anything with a padlock next to it must remain in that place, purely for kind of coding and software reasons, a little bit too technical for me to really understand. But the ones with the padlocks have got to remain where they are. Everything else is totally up to you to turn on or off. So for example, I might think, I don't need the company number, I don't need the labels, I don't need to see any partners or jurisdictions, but what I might like to see is a client reference number. Actually, the client reference number, I want to see it right next to the company name so I know what I'm referring to. So we've had a little play around in here, and as you click save, it will load for 5 to 10 seconds, and you'll see that my dashboard now looks completely different. So I've now got all my company names, my client reference numbers. I haven't added too many, as you can see, but we've kept the company status, the alerts, notes, and confirmation statement dates. Additionally, as mentioned, this is available in your confirmation screen. There is one within here that we always recommend having turned on. So if you haven't turned this on yet, I would recommend coming into here, scrolling down until you find confirmation statement status and making sure that this one is turned on before pressing save. The reason we suggest having this one turned on is because it will add this column here. You'll be able to see the current status of each of the confirmation statements, and it will save you preparing the same one more than once. Additionally, in your document screen, We go to documents review, and we've got the option to filter columns in here as well. Kind of linking back to one of the updates we just looked at, but you can now choose to get rid of trace numbers. You may want to get rid of dates prepared, but you may want the due date right at the top. As you click save, you see that our due date is shuffled all the way across, so it's right in the middle of our screen, and we've got rid of some of the kind of information that we may not find useful or relevant. Something to kind of maybe go around and have a play around with. And see what you think. But as I said, it's very user specific, so you can all have it a different way to some of the colleagues in your firm or your practice. Some of the final bits for today. I know it's been quite a short webinar, but I know it's also very hot. So I've got a fan going. I'm sure a lot of you are very hot and sweaty listening to COSEC stuff. So we'll try and wrap it up as quickly as we can. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what you can expect to come and how you can impact what's coming on CAS 360 as well. The first one I wanted to kind of highlight is the feedback button. I think, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, we operate in maybe 5 or 6 different countries now as BGL. In the UK, our feedback button is the kind of one of the most least used for any of our jurisdictions. So I just wanted to kind of bring it to the forefront and say that this is your ability to make suggestions about what is coming to the software. Everything that goes into that orange feedback button at the top of your CAS 360 dashboard goes directly to our product development team in Australia. The way in which it works is almost like a tally basis. So the more commonly requested something is, the higher up the priority order it goes. Obviously, companies' house requirements and legal requirements are always top, but then it's followed by what is most requested. So if you've got an idea of something you want to see, please pop it in here and it will get a tally next to it and help it to bump up the list. Obviously, if you've got some colleagues and you want them to pop it in there as well, the more tallies we've got, the quicker we're going to see it. Just to highlight some roadmap ideas and tell you what's coming as well. One of our recent 2026 roadmap things, scheduled emails, is now fully functioning, available in the platform. We touched upon it in our last couple of webinars. There are some help articles on it as well. So if you missed those webinars, feel free to go and watch them on YouTube and have a little look at some of the help articles for scheduled emails. That's kind of proof in the pudding that this roadmap is coming. But what you can expect from that roadmap throughout 2026 and early 2027 is some of our client portals are going to be added. Your clients are going to be able to access a portal, review documents, request changes, access historic documents without having to email you every time. And we're going to add in the ability to automate confirmation statements as well. So you'll be able to select certain clients. It's typically going to be your husband and wife business. Not much has changed. If nothing's changed based on the comparison report, you'll be able to automate that confirmation statement, and all you'll have to do is press lodge. They're two of the things that are coming amongst an array of others, but I will speak a little bit more on that in just a second. What you can expect in terms of new forms, some of the new forms that are kind of next up to come to the platform following the VSO1 are going to be our SHO8 and SH10 forms as well. So additional shareholder forms will be available for you to produce and file from within the software too. A kind of general update now on what is to come over the next few weeks. I myself am going to be extremely busy with lots of internal things that are ongoing. So I just wanted to make you all aware response times may be a little bit delayed. But for those of you who maybe aren't using this at the moment, the chat feature is there to help you at times when email responses are going to be a little bit slower than normal. In the chat feature, I'm aware not everybody likes to speak to an AI robot. So if you press or say the words speak to a human, it will alert 5 or 6 different people, including myself, that you're going to need some help. So if I'm not available, there will be somebody else who is notified who will be able to jump on and help you with your query. Tying in with that, you may have had an email from me already, depending on how new you are to CAS, or you may still be waiting for one, and I will get to you hopefully this week. But I'm looking to book in some kind of mid-year check-ins with each practice or each firm who's currently using CAS 360. The idea of this is just to see how you're going, to listen to any feedback for improvements, any queries, any issues you may be having, offer some solutions to them, and as well, hopefully run you through the full 2026/2027 roadmap so you've got an idea of what is to come and have your opportunity to put some influence into that as well. So we can cover everything. If I pop you an email, you'll see my availability is very limited, probably now until early July. So if you could book a time in for maybe July or August, that'd be brilliant. We can have a catch up, see what you need from us, and give you a bit of insight into what is coming as well.